Okay, Celtics postgame after beating the Magic in what ended up being a really fun game. I mean, the Magic have a really interesting team. I mean, I don't think they're ready for winning quite yet, but they really came out and threw some haymakers. So it was a fun game. So let's get right into it. So my first point when I was thinking about this, and this is kind of the start of the game, is that the Celtics got to be ready for games like this, especially when you have young teams where this is kind of going to be their Super Bowl, right? With the Celtics being one of the guys teams to beat in the East this year, especially. And the start of the game was weird, and it makes sense, like coming off back to back, tough game against the Heat, and then you got to travel, even though Orlando isn't that far. But they were really low energy on defense at the start. I thought they were really sloppy with the ball too, and I think they kind of just underestimated Orlando a little bit too. The defense especially was weird. So first, what they did is they had this weird matchup. So it was Vonleh was the center, and he was guarding Boncaro. Um, Smart was playing against the center, so he was against Wendell Carter. And then they had Tatum on the point guard, who was Cole Anthony. So just like weird to have those kind of mismatches. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. I mean, I guess if you want to have, similar to the Rob defense where you have Rob, who guards the four, he can kind of go around and muck stuff up. But Vonleh's not really that, uh, he's not Rob Williams. He doesn't have the verticality. He's a little bit undersized. So I thought it was weird to put him on the four, and then especially having Smart on the center. It was weird, and they were just at the start of the game. Paolo took like 4 threes in a row, missed all of them, but still they were giving him like almost 10 feet back from the 3-point line to start the game. And I get Orlando hasn't been that great of a team shooting, but it was just a weird defense at the start of the game. Eventually, at the about 2 minutes left in the second, Tatum just asked Joe Mazzulla to switch on to Paolo, and then I thought the defense looked a lot better. Although it was a little bit sloppy, and especially with the turnovers on the offensive end. But still, I mean, obviously the Celtics were the better team. Reminds me a little bit of those Clippers Celtics games from a couple of years ago. When Kawhi and Paul George were healthy, where it was kind of the two guys who were like the final evolved version versus the two guys who were just starting out. So back then it was Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and then Tatum and Brown were the young guys. And now it was kind of like Tatum and Brown were the older guys, and Boncaro and Franz were the young guys. And so it was a fun game to watch for sure. I think the headlines are definitely Derek White coming out and just like you watch these games, and when he like goes off, he had 27 points tonight, and you're like, why can't he do this every game? He's sick. Like he's making threes, got that quick release on the 3-pointer. Like the shot looks good fundamentally. He can really turn the corner too and get to the rim. He like dunked over someone today, and it's just like I don't know what goes on in Derek White's head. I think he gets a little bit nervous, especially when it's a big shot. I don't really trust him to make a big three at all, and I think he kind of gets down on himself from what it sounds like with him talking to the other guys and everything. But man, when Derek White has a good game, like you're like, this is a real good guy and a real asset. So he was great. But I think the biggest story is just Tatum. He had 40 tonight, and he just like I think it was the little stuff too, like asking to switch on to Paulo when Paulo was starting to get it going, and just kind of shutting him down after that, and just like getting anywhere he wanted on the court. I mean, he's been unbelievable so far this season. 35 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, I'm not going all the way and saying he's MVP. He's going to win MVP this year. This is a long season. But that's probably the roadmap to it, right? When you have Luka, Giannis, and Jokic are probably going to be, the guys up at the top. So you can get helped out a little bit because Jokic is not going to win again because they don't want to do 3 in a row. Giannis is going to be the tough one because he's going to be around 30 points per game, with 8 or 9 rebounds and 8 or 9 assists. Um, and then Luka's going to put up absurd stats like that too. But if his team doesn't even make, if his team's in the play-in, then there's kind of the path there for Tatum to win MVP, right? I think the Celtics would need to get the first seed. I think he would need to be around. He would have to lead the league in scoring, 8 rebounds and like 4 assists. If he can do that over a full season, I mean that's an MVP season for sure. So man, he just got it wherever he wanted on the court tonight, and it was really fun to watch. And it's getting to the point where I feel like for years when I've been watching Celtics, you still don't really know where the scoring is going to come from at the end of the games. Like, you know who is going to take the shots, but you're nervous for them, that the shots are going to go in. And I even felt that in the playoffs last year, and it was a lot of pleasant surprises because they would get good offense at the end, but you were still a little nervous about it. And I wasn't nervous about it today. Like, I know it was a close game throughout, but I just felt confident that at the end, Tatum was going to get it. Tatum was going to get to whatever shot he wanted, and we were going to win the game. So, I mean, I can't say enough about what Tatum has done so far this season, especially with Jalen having a tough game today. So we'll see. He's been historically like streaky at times. I mean, still he's very, very good. It's not a indictment on Tatum at any point, but he has really hot streaks, and then he'll go. Last year for almost the full start of the season, he was for half the season he was not that great from three. So we'll see. He's been playing really well. So those are my big picture thoughts. Some of the smaller notes. Man, the Celtics team is super deep, and it's going to be tough to get some of these guys some minutes. I mean, when you look at Brogdon, so he played 24 minutes, then he played 25 minutes, and then he only played 21 tonight. And maybe it's just because he's a guy who's been injured a lot, so they don't want to push him into the 30-minute range and want to keep him around 20, 25 minutes for the regular season. But I feel like he should play more. And obviously, tonight he probably played a little bit less because Derek White was playing so well. But I thought Brogdon would be closer to 30 minutes per game than he would be to 20 minutes per game. But like I said, it's a really deep team, and when you have those guys out there, and we don't even have Rob Williams back at this point. And no Horford tonight either. Because Horford, I know he said at the start of the season he's ready to play back-to-backs. We don't want you to play back-to-backs, Al. I love Al to death, but there's no reason for him to play back-to-backs when we have such depth on this team where you could throw Blake out there, and you could throw Vonleh out there, and they even threw Cornette out there for he just came in, got dunked on twice, and then we didn't see him again. It's like, I don't know. Scalabrini's really high on Cornette, but I just don't really see it. I don't know if he's really an NBA player. Hauser, coming alive, man. We need to find. It's so tough because it's like I want to see Hauser shoot more threes. Like, he's so fun to watch when he's out there because he just runs around, and every 3-point shot you think is going in. But the rest of his game isn't really all that polished, so it makes sense. I just feel like you need to find some Hauser minutes. I'm excited for at the end of the season when you have everything clinched and they just rest everyone. I think Hauser could score 35 points in that game. You just let him take threes all game. It would be fun. But yeah, no, that was all good. We sustained a bad, smart offensive game, which is any time that you see the amount of 3-pointers that Marcus has taken is close to the total amount of shots he's taken, it's usually a bad sign for Marcus. I like Marcus better when he's driving to the rim and getting into those little floaters and stuff. But tonight he shot 9 threes and he only had 11 shots in total. He was 2 for 11 on total field goals, 1 for 9 on threes. That's just the prototypical Marcus Smart had a bad offensive game. But of course, he's everywhere on defense and he was swiping to people, so, all good on that end. Next note, Grant's fucking annoying, huh? I can't even imagine what it's like to be there in and out with him, especially now that he wants to get paid and wants to, But there was like two little things there that just kind of made me laugh. There was one point that was in the third quarter, I think, where Grant went to switch spots on the free throw. Like he was in, the whatever you call it, at the top of the lineup for the free throw and wanted to get down lower so he could be one of the rebounding bigs. And so he walked over to take Jalen's spot. And Jalen doesn't move a muscle. Grant just looks at him, turns back around, and then goes back up. I just thought it was so funny. It's just indicative of like what it must be like, where the guys must just be like, this fucking guy. Like, this fucking guy thinks he's the best player and thinks he can take like the free throw spot and everything. And then he got mad at Tatum at the end of the game when he was running down the baseline because he wanted to shoot the free throws, and Tatum just called the timeout instead. He gets all mad, and then Tatum just throws him the ball afterwards. And I'm sure it's all in good fun, but man, at some point that's got to get pretty annoying to have that guy around every single day. But him and Blake seem to be getting along, so whatever. On the Magic side of things, man, that's going to be a good team. It has the makings of it for sure. Banchero and Franz have really complementary skill sets. Franz is kind of more the point forward, move the ball around, and Banchero is the play finisher. And he has a lot of good moves too. I'll touch on him more. Wendell Carter was tough. Wendell Carter is a good NBA player at the end of the day. He was getting into it with Smart a little bit, and when the Celtics didn't really have a real center out there, where they didn't have most of the game, Carter was a problem. Cole Anthony's a scorer too. That guy is a professional scorer, and I say that obviously they're all professionals, but there's just certain guys who just can score no matter what, and just kind of have that knack of like they're always going to get to like 16 points even on a bad shooting night. I'm not entirely sure if Cole Anthony's going to be a starting guard. I mean, obviously he has the talent to start, but with guys like that, sometimes it's just better to just bring him off the bench and have them be the sixth man and run the bench unit, so he can just kind of take all the shots he wants. I wouldn't say he's a bad passer, playmaker, but I mean he's a true scorer. But still, okay, so if you have Banchero, Franz, and Carter, and then Anthony, whether he's a starter on the bench, they have a lot of guys who are injured tonight, Suggs and Fultz, and if Isaac ever plays basketball again. That's the makings of a really good team. I think the fit's still a little weird because it's a lot of young guys, and when you have that, everyone wants to get playing time, and it's tough to make room for all those guys. But still, Magic have a good team. On Banchero, I was really impressed with it tonight. And he's gotten to 20 points in each of his first 3 NBA games, which is pretty nuts. And he's not especially... There are a lot of parts of his game that he can tighten up. Definitely becoming a better shooter. And I think dribbling too, he gets a little loose with the handle, which is kind of expected, right? You come from college where, if you're a player of his caliber, you can get a lot of stuff pretty easily. And dribbling the NBA is just a whole nother thing. It's something that Tatum had to work on a lot, something that Jalen had to work on a lot, and frankly still has to work on. Man, Banchero was awesome. He was really impressive tonight, and it made me think why there was so much debate over who should be the first pick. I mean, Jabari Smith is fine. He'll be good on defense, but he's not a go-to scorer in the way that Banchero is going to be in the NBA. And then Chet is good too, but you still have so many questions about if his body can hold up. I mean, he's not even playing this season. And even so, then what's his kind of ceiling? And I think people got a little bit hot on like, okay, you had Evan Mobley last year, and look, okay, can Chet be that and be a little bit more developed on the offensive end? But I mean, when you have a center like that, that's a great complementary piece. But Banchero, his player type is the type that wins championships. That big scoring wing, who's a go-to scorer, who's confident, who's already a leader on the team with the way he was talking to all the guys and directing everyone. And he's 19 years old. So I mean, he's even a little bit. Him and Tatum's playstyles are a little bit different. I think Banchera's a little bit more physical, and Tatum was a little bit more of a finesse player, especially when he was coming into the league. But he looks, if not as good, about what Tatum was when he was coming into the league. So I'm pushing all my stock in on Banchera. I mean that guy's going to be awesome. Um, and it just got me thinking about why there was so much debate. He should have been the unanimous number one pick um, throughout that. So finally, I have one last little thing that I want to throw in. It got me thinking. Uh, the Magic had a T-shirt giveaway when it was like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So just based on that, like they probably didn't think it was going to be a close game, right? Thought everyone would be like kind of ready to leave, like we gotta get out of traffic in Orlando. They're thinking, all right, might need to get something to like keep these fans in their seats, right? So they had a T-shirt giveaway with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of like a close game. But those T-shirt giveaways are like so fucking patronizing, right? Like they come out and they're like, "Who wants some fucking free shirts? I want you to get loud for it." And they're like, there's people down there. They have like maybe 20 shirts that they're giving out in like a 30,000 person arena, and the guys down there are like, they hold all the power. Those T-shirt guys. I don't know what the salary is for a T-shirt guy for the NBA, but it's probably not great. So those guys like relish the power when they're in it. They're pointing to sections. If that section's not getting loud enough, they do one of these. The fuck you guys, I'm gonna go throw it to another section. And everyone get loud for like these shitty T-shirts. And I've won one in my life, so like I caught one. So I can say like I'm not just like a salty guy, like never won a T-shirt thing. And I was just talking shit about it. I was at a Knicks game and caught the shirt. I was fucking pumped. You're high-fiving everyone in the section, whatever. The shirt was a triple XL. When you say they get a triple XL, okay, so it makes sense, right? Like, in a way, like, okay, you don't want to, like, someone bigger gets it, and then they can't wear it because it's, like, a medium or something like that. But I feel like triple XL is, like, a lot. Like, probably, like, an XL would probably do it, right? And then, like, triple XL is pretty tough, man. It's hard to pull off a triple XL shirt if you're not like a triple XL size. It was also bright fucking orange, and it was the ugliest shirt that I've ever had. I'd never worn that shirt, and I was so pumped to get it. So it's just like these T-shirt giveaways where it's like, it's so little shirts. The guys who are throwing out the shirts are power tripping, especially when they have like the big T-shirt gun cannon. Those guys are just like, it's like the equivalent of like when someone gets like a giant truck. Because those T-shirt guys, when they have the gun, all they want to do is show off like how far it can shoot, right? Like, so they like back up all the way to the other side of the court. They like pump it up and they fucking launch it into the into the nosebleeds. They're not aiming for anyone. They just want you to know how far that they can do it, because that thing is probably so fucking fun. The T-shirt's is gotta be fun. But then the people who are throwing it, if you're not in like the first 5 rows, you're probably not getting that shirt, because no one down there has the arm power to get it over there. And then the T-shirt cannon guys are just putting their dick on the table and trying to launch one into the fucking nosebleeds. So if you have like a lower bowl, but you're towards the outer rows, which is usually what I do, there's just no chance you're getting a shirt. There's just a 0% chance. And even if you get it, it's a fucking triple XL and you can't even wear it. So that's my 2 cents on the T-shirt giveaways. I just thought it was really funny. But yeah, man, great start to the Celtics season. 3-0, rolling along. Philly's 0-3, so I feel pretty good right about now. Magic, I wouldn't say they gave us a scare, but they definitely played really well, and I think they have a bright future. And these are the kind of games that the Celtics got to be ready for. When a young team's coming in there, they're coming to try and take your crown. So I think it's the Bulls on Monday night, so we'll probably check back in at the end of that game, but let's go Celtics. Great start to the season so far.